I really didn't. Not after I'd seen how Hazel skewered her enemies. Still, I owed it to Jason. Hazel had been his friend. I steeled my nerves, opened my mouth to speak, and was beaten to the punch by Hazel herself. "It's Jason," she said, as if the information had been whispered in her ear. "Oh, gods." She ran to the coffin. She fell to her knees and threw her arms across the lid. She let out a single devastated sob. Then she lowered her head and shivered in the silence. Strands of her hair sketched through the quartz dust on the polished wood surface, leaving squiggly lines like the readings of a seismograph. Without looking up, she murmured, "I had nightmares. A boar, a man and a horse, a, a spear. How did it happen?" I did my best to explain. I told her about my fall into the mortal world, my adventures with Meg, our fight aboard Caligula's yacht, and how Jason had died saving us. Recounting the story brought back all the pain and terror. I remembered the sharp ozone smell of the wind spirits swirling around Meg and Jason, the bite of zip tie handcuffs around my wrists, Caligula's pitiless, delighted boast, "You don't walk away from me alive." It was all so awful. I momentarily forgot about the agonizing cut across my belly. Lavinia stared at the floor. Meg did her best to staunch my bleeding with one of the extra dresses from her backpack. Don watched the ceiling, where a new crack was zigzagging over our heads. "Hate to interrupt," said the fawn, "but maybe we should continue this outside." Hazel pressed her fingers against the coffin lid. "I'm so angry at you. Doing this to Piper, to us, not letting us be there for you. What were you thinking?" It took me a moment to realize she wasn't talking to us. She was speaking to Jason. Slowly she stood. Her mouth trembled. She straightened as if summoning internal columns of quartz to brace her skeletal system. "Let me carry you inside," she said. "Let's bring him home." We trudged along in silence, the sorriest pallbearers ever, all of us covered in dust and monster ash. At the front of the coffin, Lavinia squirmed in her armor, occasionally glancing over at Hazel, who walked with her eyes straight ahead. She didn't even seem to notice the random vulture feather fluttering from her shirt sleeve. Meg and Don carried the back of the casket. Meg's eyes were bruising up nicely from the car crash, making her look like a large, badly dressed raccoon. Don kept twitching, tilting his head to the left as if he wanted to hear what his shoulder was saying. I stumbled after them, Meg's spare dress pressed against my gut. The bleeding seemed to have stopped, but the cut still burned and needled. I hoped Hazel was right about her healers being able to fix me. I did not relish the idea of becoming an extra for The Walking Dead. Hazel's calmness made me uneasy. I almost would have preferred if she screamed and threw things at me. Her misery was like the cold gravity of a mountain. You could stand next to the mountain and close your eyes, and even if you couldn't see or hear it, you knew it was there. Unspeakably heavy and powerful. A geological force so ancient it made every immortal god feel like gnats. I feared that would happen if Hazel's emotions turned volcanically active. At last we emerged into open air. We stood on a rock promontory about halfway up a hillside, with the valley of New Rome spread before us. In the twilight the hills had turned violet. The cool breeze smelled of wood smoke and lilacs. "Wow," said Meg, taking in the view. Just as I remembered, the little Tiber wended across the valley floor, making a glittering curlicue that emptied into the blue lake where the camp's belly button might have been. On the north shore of that lake rose New Rome itself, a smaller version of the original imperial city. From what Leo had said about the recent battle, I'd expected to see the place leveled. At this distance, though, in the waning light, everything looked normal. The gleaming white buildings with the red-tiled roofs, the domed Senate House, the Circus Maximus, and the Colosseum. The lake's south shore was the site of Temple Hill, with its chaotic assortment of shrines and monuments.